Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Chris and I'm your dad next door, and in today's video we're doing some audio sample differences between the natural audio using an MXL 990 and putting it up against a voice audio sampling from the new plugin feature released by Nvidia, RTX Voice. So for those who are unfamiliar with what RTX Voice is, this new application has the ability to use some form of machine learning to collect voice samples from the user and use those voice samples to filter out unwanted noise from your recordings or from your microphone. From what I've been able to tell so far, these voice samples, or this modulation I'm going to call it, is using some form of digitized noise suppression. But we're going to do some voice samples here and some different sound samples. I'm going to make lots of banging, play some music, and see the different effects that it has on the audio quality from the natural recording to the RTX Voice sample. So we're going to go through some different tests. I'm going to have a banging music. I'm going to have somebody come in here and talk behind me just to make some noise and see what the differences are there. So let's go ahead and get started with those, and we'll work through. You will notice that during my tests here today, I am being very aggressive and I'm overdoing it. If you are looking for this type of option and your environment is as loud as I'm making these samples, then you probably need to work on reducing your sound, and then this noise suppression will work substantially better. If you were to just be listening to the differences between my raw recording and the RTX Voice, I think you'll notice that there's a very, very good job of noise suppression in the room, and it doesn't pick up room ambiance nearly as much. But, you know, I was doing this for the purpose of really aggressive samples, so that way we could tell the difference and tell exactly what it was doing in these different tests. For some clarity, I just want to let everybody know that I am doing these tests using a EVGA GTX 1080 Ti. I'm not using an RTX card. So while RTX Voice was not designed originally for the GTX cards, I am able to run it. Again, it took a kind of a modification of the installer code to do this test, but I just wanted to have an opportunity to see it myself and see how it did. There may be different features or different results for those who do use RTX cards. There may be some additional ability that it can have. So this sample is for those that will be using GTX cards for it. So for the first test here, I am just going to be hitting the side of this cabinet here. I don't know exactly what part. I literally have a PVC pipe that is hitting the side of a metal filing cabinet, and I don't know what this is going to do in terms of sound and what the difference is, but we're going to just do this for a little bit here and see how much of this comes through the audio recording as I change between the two different samples. The side of this cabinet here, I don't know exactly what part. I literally have a PVC pipe that is hitting the side of a metal filing cabinet, and I don't know what this is going to do in terms of sound and what the difference is, but we're going to just do this for a little bit here and see how much of this comes through the audio recording as I change between the two different samples. And now we are kind of doing the same thing. I'm just tapping on the side of a bookshelf here with this big PVC pipe here and just trying to make some noise to see what the difference is going to be in the audio sample. I have no idea what this is going to sound like yet. No idea what you're going to be looking for. These are pretty, if you can hear in the raw recording, these are pretty loud samples that are very aggressive. I mean, if you have noise going on this loud in your audio environment, then you probably need to get your audio environment under control. But we just want to do something really aggressive to see exactly how good this is with this big PVC pipe here and just trying to make some noise to see what the difference is going to be in the audio sample. I have no idea what this is going to sound like yet. No idea what you're going to be looking for. These are pretty, if you can hear in the raw recording, these are pretty loud samples that are very aggressive. I mean, if you have noise going on this loud in your audio environment, then you probably need to get your audio environment under control. But we just want to do something really aggressive to see exactly how good this is. So now you should be able to hear some jazz music I got going on in the background here, just kind of grooving a little bit and enjoying a little bit of noise, you know. And again, seeing how much of this comes through, how much of my audio quality from my voice gets impacted by the RTX voice, and how much of it actually changes my version of the audio quality. Jazz music is always fun to listen to. So now I've enlisted the assistance of my children. They are right outside my studio door here, just kind of talking really loud, just making a lot of noise, because we wanted to see again how much of that voice gets picked out by RTX Voice and how much is still there. So let's figure that out. So for this test, I'm going to do a really simple room ambiance test. I'm going to do about 10 seconds of dead silence and show you guys the difference between the ambiance of the room and, with or without RTX Voice. And then I'm going to shuffle some papers around and stuff like that and see how much of that gets picked up, because that's something that I think as you're moving things around on a desk or something like that, where RTX will have a good environment or impact. And we are just now we're talking, and I'm flipping through some papers here. I've got a little notepad on my desk here, and I'm just trying to see how much of this additional noise or different stuff as I'm picking things up on the desk and moving them around. And I want to drink my coffee a little bit, and I make a lip smack and you're gonna cough, and I'm just trying to figure out what exactly is this doing for me. I'm gonna bang my mouse on the desk a couple of times, see exactly what changes with some of these audio samples. So the last comment that I'm going to make before we go into the final review is I went back and just looked at the audio samples from the individual tests that I was taking, and I did notice that there's about a 60 to 70 millisecond time difference between the raw audio and the RTX voice, and that's essentially the processing time that the application is needing to take. So you may find that in some samples or in some scenarios, your audio may not line up perfectly with your video content if you're recording them together. So just make sure that you're taking that into consideration as you're tying everything in. And if you have a streaming setup or something like that, you do need to make sure that you're lining your audio up directly with. So with that, we're going to go into a final review and give you my feedback on what I think the program has for its future. So now you should be able to tell from those little pieces from the recording that the sample differences are noticeable to me. Honestly, the RTX voice kind of gives you an unnatural sound if you are in a loud environment. There were times during all of those recording samples where a piece of the noise would come through for a second, and when it did that, it just gave an unnatural audio sound to your voice because you didn't hear that background noise before, or there was some mechanical modulation sound to the audio as you were kind of listening to it because it was trying to adjust on the fly the amount of suppression that was applied to whatever frequency or whatever noise you had. So I think RTX Voice is a great product in a beta environment. If this is doing some sort of machine learning and it's kind of adapting to the microphone and it's picking up room ambiance and it's doing all kinds of other factors to get better over time, and it has a true AI factor into it, I think RTX Voice is going to be an amazing feature as it continues to get smarter. The main thing that I would be concerned about for those who do a lot of different testing in different environments, or those who do a lot of microphone reviews or swap microphones every so often to do different types of things, I think RTX Voice is going to have a different impact on your environment, because if it's trying to learn your setup or your room ambiance, then every time you put a new microphone on that, you're going to make some small changes to that, and it's going to have to relearn that, or it's going to get it wrong. So I do think this is a great product. I probably will not use it for a long time until I know that it's not going to give me some odd features to it. But other than that, what did you guys think? Let me know in the comments of the video what how you guys thought the audio samples sounded and what differences you guys thought you heard, and if you guys think you'll be using this for your recording setups. Other than that, I am Chris, your dad next door, and we will check you next time.